I am so sorry for the way I was. I'm so sorry for what I did, and I don't want you out of my life anymore. I need you to know that. Ellie, I'm sorry.
I told you. Never be afraid to talk to me. I will never be mad at you for dealing with this thing. You gotta know, you don't have to do it alone. So please, don't.
All right. It's time to finally talk about this film. Let's start at the beginning. So in September of 1992, I was born. Just kidding. We're not going to go back that far. I first fell in love with film when I was super young, you know, watching Jurassic Park, Star Wars, Muppet Treasure Island. I fell in love with this sort of, this medium, this adventure that was so otherworldly that it just blew me away as a kid. But even at a young age, I had a very specific interest in how they did it. Mom tells me these stories even when I was, you know, super young. When I watched Jurassic Park, I would sort of turn to her after the big T-Rex reveal and ask how they did it. How does a T-Rex, which does not exist and has not existed for millions and millions of years, how am I watching that on my screen? How am I seeing a Tyrannosaurus Rex happen in front of me? So I had this very specific interest on how films were made, while also believing in them, loving them, and just being sort of enamored by the idea of what movies could do. Smash cut about a decade later, and a movie that I did not expect would catch my eye and turn me onto the path of actually picking up a camera and going to film. That film was Jackass the movie. One night at a campground that we used to stay at as a family, a bunch of friends of mine, they were going to watch a movie. And that movie just happened to be Jackass the movie. And I watched it and I got so interested and invested in one character, specifically Bam Margera. So much so that later on I would get the same tattoo as him. But I just got so intrigued and interested that the next day I went to Mom, who had this very hefty, I used to call it a toaster of a camera. I asked her to take it, and then I went and began filming. Which is quite funny because the last thing Mom said before letting me go see Jackass the movie was, you can watch it, but you need to promise me that you will never try anything that they do in the movie. The next day we were doing the exact opposite.
Oh my God.
Basically, it started out with these skits at the campground. We used to do a lot of water sports back then, so I would just be filming the water sports. Eventually, that sort of migrated into becoming a full-fledged Jackass group called the Dukes of Hazzard. Which sort of officially began in 2007, and then we had a full feature-length movie out in 2008, which was filled with everything that I was told not to do.
Oh!
That got me into the mode of picking up a camera and filming. Eventually that would change into me becoming interested in making scripted content. And at first it was all very, very silly cop dramas starring me, 16-year-old, as like the head of police trying to track down a vicious murderer. I remember one of the first ones we made was like a hybrid of a scripted drama and a documentary.
What stage are you at now with this investigation?
Well, we've managed to get the guy's name and where he's staying at. That's the victim's husband.
It was basically like me dealing with all this drama and stuff and trying to find the killer in town. It was awful.
Now! On the ground!
But it got me through the door of making scripted content, and I very slowly but surely moved away from making sort of the jackass stuff, which I loved. It was so much fun. And I can't thank the people that were involved enough, as well as the people who watched it, for just giving us a chance. But eventually I stepped away from that and went into the scripted content and realized that this had surpassed the idea of being a hobby and was very, very much cementing itself in my life as this might be the thing. Like the thing that is going to dictate the rest of your life, the thing that is your purpose. And I ended up at now a school that doesn't exist anymore, the Center for Arts and Technology. In school, I remember becoming fairly impatient, and I don't think it's the fault of anybody. I just wanted to make stuff. I sort of wanted to fail on my own terms or succeed on my own terms, and just grab a camera and go. And I just found myself really impatient and going to what we called the cage, which is where all the gear was. And the cage manager was Richard Donovan. And he would let me just take out gear and sort of mess around and go play. And that really helped me sort of go from this sort of amateur handy cam style footage that I was doing before college, and then sort of hone in on making stuff that looked cinematic and learning how to make stuff look good. And within that, it also cemented this idea that, okay, you didn't make a mistake. You didn't move to a city and take a filmmaking class, which not a lot of people do from your hometown. And it cemented that idea that, yeah, this is gonna be hard, but it was the right choice. In college, I started doing music videos, which I had always wanted to do. And I always had a dream, like, I really want to direct a real music video. I want to direct a video with a band, and we'll record them filming and tell a story and all that stuff. And I desperately wanted to do that. In college, I got to do that twice with 2 videos, one called the Student Poverty Song.
I can't afford these happy times. I'm living off nickels and dimes. It's hard to see what's in front of me. We're one step closer to poverty, yeah.
And then the following one was See You in September.
Run wherever you're from, we'll see you in September. Yeah, every last you hear be easy to remember. Run wherever you're from, we'll see you in the fall.
And from that, I actually met the Town Heroes, who have been a huge, irreplaceable part of my career and sort of growth as a filmmaker. I got to do videos with them. We went to New York City for my first one, which it's a pretty good debut. Your first music video with the band.
There's room for you in New York City. There's room for you in New York City.
Eventually, we did videos for the Stanfields,
Steady as she goes on a western run.
Glory Hound, so many local bands that are just fantastic musicians. The last major project for film school was to make a short film. And it's what I consider my first official short film, but I got to make it with like an actual crew, actual gear, an understanding of how filmmaking works, which was insanely helpful. And I got to tell a story that I really wanted to tell and that was very personal to me, and a story that would dictate what this documentary is about. The story was called The Sister, which is a film about a young man played by Joel Freckleton, who is a fantastic actor. And he was dealing with severe depression. He was standing on the ledge of a building, ready to jump, and throughout the film we sort of get to see what has led him here, but also in the end, the sort of spark of hope and the one light in his life that keeps him, standing and alive. That being the title character of the sister. Who was actually played by my real sister. After that, we made a Christmas film called Saint Rick, which was all about a certain aspect of Christmas. It starred Santa. Should be enough information. And then we made Ageless, which was a sort of action film that was about a girl who could basically age in a split second. And then eventually the final short film I made was a film called Last Day of Fall, which was my love letter to sort of drug movies. I had a keen interest in the effects of heroin use, especially in the arts, because it was such a sort of stronghold, I guess more chokehold on so many artists, and I found a very big interest in that, and that sort of led me down a rabbit hole of finding films like Candy, which is one of my favorite films of all time. Requiem for a Dream, that's one of the biggest ones. I've had a fascination with what this drug was doing to people of the arts. So we made Last Day of Fall, starring Scott Bailey and Brittany Blake. Brittany being a huge part of my career, who ended up in countless projects. But that was sort of the last short film that I made. With each short film, it was a huge learning experience, and it sort of allowed me to get better and better at what I was doing. At least I felt like I was getting better and better at what I was doing. One of the biggest things with all these films is the length of the films. For most of my career, I was told that I should be making films that are, 3 to 5 minutes long. But because I was incredibly stubborn, I neglected that. I ignored it and I threw it away because I just did not like writing so constrained. I liked writing characters and expanding on characters. I liked sort of getting into their head and understanding more and more and more and stuff like that. And I could never find myself writing something that was under 10 minutes. It was not something I could do. I tried, but I ended up hating all the scripts. And I thought, well, if I'm gonna hate these short scripts, I don't wanna make something I hate, so screw it. I'm gonna write a 10-minute script. I'm gonna write a 15-minute script. I wanna write long, and I did. And I don't regret it. But that whole short film period and making music videos really allowed me the room and the environment to try, fail, succeed, all that stuff. To the point where I found myself considering a 5th short, but discovering that the stories I was writing were exceeding even my own justification on how long a short film should be. They were starting to get into 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And all that led to me finally making a decision in 2012 to begin writing what was then known as Dark Elephant and would become Afraid to Speak.